we remember solving by elimination. That way where we either have to add or subtract. Let's say I give you one that looked like this. 2x plus 3y equals 6. So everybody's writing this one down. X plus 2y equals 5. So remember I said every problem could be solved by elimination. And so far we've been solving it by elimination. But look what happens when you try and use, so everybody's wrote this problem down, right? Okay. So look what happens if you try and solve this by elimination. Let's say, don't write this down necessarily. We're going to try this together here. If I add them, that's going to be 3x, right? That's going to be 5y. That's going to be 11. That doesn't help me at all. Nothing was eliminated, right? So let's say I went back and said, okay, let's try and subtract them. 2x minus x is 1x. 3y minus 2y is 1y. 6 minus 5 is 1. Again, doesn't help me. Nothing was eliminated. So now I've tried both addition and subtraction. So I need a way that I can still use elimination on this problem. Yeah, question. Yeah.
Multiply it?
Yes. What do you mean? Well,
multiply each one by 2.
Okay. There we go. Let's say, what number would I like to be right here so that I could use elimination? If that was a 2, or even if it was a negative 2, right, I could use elimination. So I'm going to force that equation to have a 2x. It has a 1x right now. So let's say I want it to be a positive 2. I'm going to multiply everything in that equation by 2. That way I can use elimination here. So let's do this together. You're going to take everything in this equation by 2. And we're just going to rewrite the equation. Because remember, whatever you do to one side, as long as you do it to the other, it's still true. So 2 times 1x is 2x. 2 times 2y is 4y. And 2 times 5 is 10. So let's say I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this equation now. So now I change the problem. And again, that's what I had to start with in case you didn't. Okay. But now I have this. Now can I use elimination like we did before? What would I do? Add or subtract them? Subtract them. 6 minus 10 is negative 4. 3y minus 4y is negative 1y. 2x minus 2x is eliminated. Remember, that's like a negative 1 times y. So to undo that multiplication by negative 1, I will divide both sides by negative 1. And I get y is 4. So then I can take that y equals 4, and I can either go plug it back in here, here, or even in that old equation that I modified. But let's just say I plug it in up there. That's going to give me 2x plus 3 times 4, which will be 12. And then I'll solve this equation for x. I'll move this positive 12 to the other side by subtracting it. That gives me 2x equals negative 6. And then I'll undo that multiplication by 2, divide both sides by 2, and x is negative 3. Negative 3, yeah. So that one originally, how it was set up, I couldn't use elimination. Right? I had to force it to use elimination, to be able to use elimination, by multiplying one of the equations so that I could. Now if you wanted to, and said if you hate subtracting them, I could have multiplied that original equation by negative 2 and then added them. Right? As long as you can eliminate something, that's your whole goal. So questions with this one? No? All right, let's look at another one here. Go ahead and write this one down. 4x minus y equals 9. 5x plus 2y equals 8. So in this one, how it sits right now, you couldn't use elimination. If you add them together, nothing's eliminated. If you subtract them, nothing's eliminated. So you're going to need to multiply one of them, in this case, by some number so that you can use elimination. So can I make a 4 a 5 or a negative 5? This is going to be hard, right? I'm not going to be able to eliminate this one very easily. What about this one? If I could make this a negative 2, even a positive 2, but if I could make that a negative 2, I could eliminate it. So what should you multiply this top equation by? You could do positive or negative 2. I would say I'm going to multiply it by positive 2. That way I can add them, because I'd rather add than subtract most of the time. Right? But you could do either way if you wanted to. If you'd rather subtract, multiply it by negative 2. So I'll give you a second to go ahead and try that, and then we'll work it out together and check your answer in just a minute. So hopefully when you multiplied by 2, that became the equation, right? Because that's like a negative 1 there. Multiply by 2, you get negative 2. So I'm going to kind of ignore this one now. And then in order to eliminate here, I'm going to need to add. In my case, if you multiplied by negative 2, it would have been different. I'm going to need to add, because 18 plus 8 will give me 26. Negative 2y plus positive 2y is going to be eliminated. That's going to be 0. Then I have 8x plus 5x is 13x. Then I can solve this equation for x. Undo the multiplication. Divide both sides by 13. I get x is 2. When I want to solve for y, I take that x, I go plug it back into either one of the equations. Say I'm going to plug it in right here. Just because I have a positive y here. I plug that in. That's 5 times 2, because that's what x is, so that becomes 10. I still have plus 2y equals 8. Solve this for y. First move the positive 10 to the other side. Subtract it. I'm left with 2y on that side. Equals negative 2. 8 minus 10. And finally, undo the multiplication by 2. Divide both sides by 2. And negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. So if I wanted to write the ordered pair, it would be 2, negative 1. For example, if I would have put both of these in slope-intercept form and graphed them, they would have intersected at 2, negative 1. Would have been kind of difficult to solve by substitution, but it would have been possible. Right? And elimination is probably the easiest here. Any questions with that one? I got 2 more I want to do today. All right, the next one. This one. So let's look at this one. Everybody has this one down? Well, I'm not going to be able to make that 2 a positive or negative 3 by multiplying by something. I'm not going to be able to make that negative 2 a 5 or positive 5 by multiplying by something. So, yeah, say that again. Let's change both of them then, right? Because I can't do just this to make this a 3 or negative 3. I can't change this to a 5 or negative 5. So let's multiply both of them by something so that I can use elimination. And it doesn't matter which one you eliminate first. What's the number both of these go into? 6. I can make both of them a 6x, right? Or one of them a negative 6x if I want. I could make both of these a 10. I could make both of these a 24 if I wanted to. There'd be a lot more work. Or not more work, just bigger numbers. But let's multiply both of them. Let's say I'm going to eliminate the x's. If you want to eliminate the y's first, you can do that. Let's make both of these a 6x, which means I need to multiply this one by 2 and this one by 3. So we're going to rewrite the top equation, multiply everything by 2. It becomes 6x minus 4y, because it's 2 times negative 2y, equals negative 14. Negative 7 times 2. And then I will multiply the bottom one, everything here, by 3. That will become 6x. 3 times negative 5y, negative 15y, and 3 times 10, which is 30. So now I can use elimination here. In this case, I would need to subtract them in order for my x's to be eliminated. So if I have negative 14 minus 30, if I'm in debt $14 and I take away 30 more, I'm now down 44. If I have negative 4y's, and then I have minus negative 15y, it's a double negative here, right? So negative 4y plus 15y is going to give me 11y. Because it was negative 4 plus 15. And then 6x minus 6x will be eliminated, 0. So solve that for y, undo that multiplication by 11, divide both sides by 11. Y is negative 4. You can't see that. Y is negative 4. Then all I need to do is find x. Now you could plug in y here, 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 or here to find x. Let's just say I want to pick this one. I'm going to plug in y there. And I'm going to write it up here. So I have 6x. It's a negative 4 or minus 4 times negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 4 is going to give me positive 16, and it's still equal to negative 14. Move that positive 16 over by subtracting it. I have negative 30 there. So I'm in debt 14. I take away 16 more, negative 30. And then divide both sides by positive 6. Negative divided by positive, negative 5. So I have negative 5, negative 4 is my solution. So with elimination, there's kind of 3 different things you might have to do. 1, you might not have to do anything. You can just add them or subtract them like the worksheet we had. 2, you can multiply one of the equations and then eliminate them. Or 3, you might have to multiply both of them in order to use elimination. But sometimes that's easier than graphing or using substitution. Any questions with this? All right.